Beloved souls of the earth, children of light, hear these words with the full weight of your spirit, for the time to listen has come. Heaven's breath moves swiftly tonight, and the message that descends is not ordinary. It comes not as a whisper of comfort, but as a thunderclap of awakening. Something very, very shocking is about to unfold, not in some distant hour, not in a faraway tomorrow, but soon, within the very breath of this present hour. This is not to bring fear, but to stir the sleeping heart and shake the soul that has forgotten its eternal home. For too long the world has walked in shadows and illusions, chasing the glitter of dust while ignoring the voice that speaks in storms, in silence, and in truth. The heavens tremble now, not in wrath, but in urgency, for the hearts of humankind have grown heavy with disbelief. The divine clock strikes louder, calling every being to awaken from distraction and denial. You who read these words, you are not here by accident. You are chosen to hear what many refuse to see. Even now, the veil between the seen and unseen grows thin. The winds of change are gathering. What is hidden will no longer stay hidden. The energies of heaven move with precision. The hourglass of destiny turns, and no human hand can stop its flow. You must understand what is coming is not punishment, but revelation. It is the unveiling of truth long ignored, a mirror held before every soul, reflecting the real measure of their faith, their love, and their choices. The divine message echoes through creation. Prepare your heart. The test is not of strength or knowledge, but of surrender. The world measures time by minutes and hours, but heaven measures by moments of obedience, by choices of light over darkness. You have 1 hour, one sacred space of time to lift your gaze from the noise and return your heart to the one who made you. This is not about fear, it is about alignment. When you hear the stirring in your spirit, when you feel the trembling in the air, do not run. Stand still. The voice that calls is not of this world. Many will see signs, lights flickering where there should be none, winds shifting without reason, hearts trembling without understanding. Do not dismiss these signs as chance. The universe responds to divine command. The earth groans because it feels the weight of what approaches. Heaven's order is being fulfilled in ways the mortal mind cannot yet grasp. Those who have eyes to see will understand that what is happening is both warning and mercy. This hour is sacred. Every breath you take now carries eternal consequence. In this moment, the divine realm reaches out not to condemn, but to rescue. There are souls standing on the edge of decision, hearts wrestling between surrender and stubbornness. To those hearts, the voice calls out, return now. The storm that approaches does not come to destroy you, but to awaken you. The truth will no longer wait for permission to be seen. You must not delay. You must not scroll past this moment as if it were another passing message. You must open your spirit, for the words before you are written not by chance, but by divine instruction. Heaven pleads not because it is weak, but because its love is vast beyond measure. The door of grace is open, but the hour grows late. The trumpet of awakening is sounding softly now, but it will grow louder with each passing heartbeat, until all who have ignored it will have no choice but to face what stands before them. The shocking event that comes will not merely shake the earth, it will shake understanding itself. The systems built on lies will crumble, the proud will fall silent, the faithful will be vindicated. Every soul will stand in the light of truth and know what was real and what was illusion. When the unseen becomes seen, the world will weep, for it will realize how close heaven has always been. So take heed. Do not turn away from these words. Within the next hour, something will shift within the heavens, within the earth, within the very structure of your spirit. It may not be seen with mortal eyes, but it will be felt deep within. The energy of revelation will sweep through every heart that dares to believe. It is the hour of awakening, the moment where the divine hand reaches across the veil. If your heart trembles as you hear this, it is because your soul recognizes truth. The energy moving now is not born of fear, but of love so fierce it will not allow you to remain asleep. The heavens call you to remember who you are, a being of light, formed for purpose, destined for eternity. The shaking that comes is not to break you, but to rebuild you in the image of what was always meant to be. Now, as the sacred hour draws near, lift your thoughts higher. Set aside your distractions. Speak to the source in silence. Let your heart open to the truth that you were created for more than the dust of this world. The divine eyes are upon every soul reading these words, waiting for one thing, your response. Do not ignore the call that burns in your chest. The message is clear, the time is now, and the choice is yours. A divine hour approaches when hidden truths will be revealed, and the entire universe seems to hold its breath in anticipation of that sacred unveiling. The stillness before it feels unlike any silence known before, a silence alive with meaning, vibrating with the tension of what is about to unfold. The currents of time themselves seem to ripple, as though eternity is pressing against the walls of this world, demanding entry. The winds carry whispers that stir the soul, not as mere breezes, but as messengers of something vast, ancient, and holy. Every second draws closer to a moment where illusion collapses, and what was concealed by the shadows of doubt, pride, and blindness will stand radiant under the gaze of divine truth. The hidden will no longer remain buried. The unseen will break forth in light so piercing that even the strongest hearts will tremble. There is a pulse in the air, a vibration that calls the spirit to awareness, to readiness, for the hour that draws near is no ordinary turning of time. It is a divine appointment set before the foundations of the world. The heavens seem to know what the earth has forgotten. The stars burn with greater brilliance, as if aligning themselves for a moment that carries eternal significance. Nature senses it before man does. The animals pause, the air thickens, and a sacred electricity gathers, signaling that revelation is near. In the unseen realm, forces move with purpose, angelic and divine, preparing for the unveiling of truths that have been kept hidden from mortal comprehension. These truths are not new, for they have always existed in the heart of creation, but humanity's blindness has kept them veiled. The divine hour is not merely a moment on a clock. It is a convergence, where heaven and earth touch, where light exposes every shadow, and where souls must finally face the reality of who they are and what they have chosen. The world, wrapped in its endless distractions, feels the tremor but does not understand it. People sense that something approaches, yet they cannot name it, cannot see its shape, only its echo in the spirit. Some dismiss it as imagination, others feel the unease in their dreams, the stirring in their hearts that something far greater than them is on the horizon. The divine hour comes not with the noise of the world, but with a silence so full of presence that it will drown out all other sounds. Those who are still, who listen beyond the noise, will feel the vibration of the truth as it rises, like the deep sound of a great bell resonating through the soul. It will not be seen first with the eyes, but with the spirit, as the veil of illusion begins to tear. In this sacred unfolding, human understanding will be stripped of its arrogance. The truths that will emerge will humble the wise and awaken the sleeping. What was thought to be certain will crumble, and what was dismissed as myth will be recognized as divine reality. The structures built upon deceit, greed, and pride will begin to shake, for the light that comes does not negotiate with darkness. It penetrates every falsehood, exposes every hidden motive, and lays bare the soul's condition. In that moment, masks will fall, and every pretense will dissolve before the blazing eyes of truth. There will be no hiding, for light reveals all. The divine hour does not come to destroy but to cleanse, to separate what is real from what is illusion, what is eternal from what is fleeting. Hearts, long cold, will feel fire again. Spirits dulled by the weight of doubt will awaken in sudden clarity. The divine truth will not arrive as a distant concept, but as a living presence, entering through the cracks of every guarded heart. The world will feel it like a great exhale of the universe, a release of all that has been suppressed, all that has been denied. Those who have lived with pure intention will feel comforted, while those who have hidden behind deceit will tremble. The divine hour carries both mercy and reckoning, love and justice intertwined, for in truth they are not opposites but one and the same. The revelation will not merely concern events or prophecies, it will concern the soul itself. Humanity will see how far it has strayed from its divine origin, how the pursuit of material gain has dulled the awareness of spirit. The hidden truths that will come forth will not only expose the corruption in systems and nations, but also the secret conditions of hearts. Every lie told, every hidden sin, every neglected truth will surface, not to shame, but to awaken. The divine hour is not about destruction. It is about recognition, about standing face to face with reality and being given a final chance to choose light. Even now, the signs are appearing. The energies of the earth shift strangely. Time feels distorted. Dreams feel more vivid. The boundary between waking and spiritual realms grows thinner. Many sense they are being watched, guided, or stirred by unseen hands. The divine watches not from a distance, but through every moment, every heartbeat, every decision. In this hour of unveiling, every choice matters. The hidden truths are not external mysteries waiting to be solved. They are the secrets of the soul waiting to be acknowledged. Humanity's collective awakening will depend not on knowledge, but on willingness to see, to admit, to bow before what is greater than itself. When the divine light breaks, it will come suddenly, like lightning across a clouded sky. It will not ask for permission, it will simply reveal. And in that revelation, every soul will know what it has always known deep within the eternal voice calling through time, the truth that cannot be silenced. The divine hour will arrive as both revelation and reflection, showing every soul what it has become and what it still can be. It will not come with the roar of catastrophe, but with the stillness of realization, a silence so profound that even time will pause to listen. The hidden will no longer be hidden, for light does not ask the darkness to move, it simply shines, and in that shining everything is known. The veil between heaven and earth is thinning rapidly, and the unseen realm draws nearer with every passing breath, as if eternity itself is pressing against the fragile walls of the mortal world. The air feels charged, the atmosphere trembling with something vast and ancient, a sacred current that mortal senses can barely contain. The separation that once felt wide and unreachable now feels like a breath, like a whisper away, and those attuned to spirit can already sense the tremor of something divine approaching. It is not imagination, nor is it coincidence, for the very frequency of existence is shifting. The boundaries that once held the material and the spiritual apart are dissolving, as the voice of heaven begins to echo louder through the heart of humanity. The unseen light moves like a tide, sweeping across minds and souls, calling those who have forgotten who they are to awaken and remember their true home. Every particle of the world hums differently now, as though creation itself anticipates revelation. The thinness of the veil allows glimpses, fleeting visions, dreams that feel too real to be dreams, moments where one feels watched not in fear, but in divine awareness. The ancient barrier between the temporal and the eternal was never meant to be permanent. It was humanity's blindness that thickened it. But now, as divine will unfolds, that blindness begins to fade, and clarity pierces through the fog. The heart becomes the bridge between two realms, and those who listen within begin to hear echoes of heaven through intuition, through sudden peace that cannot be explained, through moments of awe that stop time. The unseen world is closer than breath, speaking in light, waiting to be felt more than understood in this sacred thinning. Angels move nearer, their presence sensed in subtle ways, the flicker of warmth when alone, the whisper of calm in moments of fear, the unseen comfort when hope feels lost. The air vibrates with an invisible harmony, like the hum of creation, adjusting itself to prepare for what is to come. Those who are spiritually awake can feel it like a pulse beneath their skin, a rhythm not of this world. It is the sound of heaven aligning with earth once more, of divine purpose manifesting through matter. The thinning of the veil does not mean destruction, it means convergence. It is the moment when spirit reclaims dominion, when truth begins to move visibly through the physical world, when the eternal pierces the temporary and awakens it into remembrance. The signs are everywhere, though most pass unnoticed. The colors of the sky shift strangely at dusk. Time feels faster, yet heavier. Dreams feel prophetic, and synchronicities multiply. These are not coincidences. They are ripples from the nearing presence of divine reality. The language of heaven is being translated into human experience through signs, through sensations, through inner knowing. What was once separate is merging, and the human spirit, long numb from disconnection, begins to feel alive again. This is why emotions are heightened, why intuition grows stronger, why the veil between life and afterlife feels transparent in moments of silence. The soul knows what the mind resists, that heaven is moving closer, that the unseen is becoming visible through those willing to perceive for generations. Humanity has lived as though the spiritual realm were distant, abstract, unreachable. But the thinning veil is the divine reminder that separation was always an illusion. Heaven was never far away. It was humanity that walked too deeply into darkness to see the light beside it. Now that light burns through again, not as a distant glow, but as an overwhelming presence. It enters through thought, through feeling, through awareness itself, urging the soul to awaken from its slumber. Those who resist will feel confusion, for the energies of the world will no longer respond to denial. The frequencies of truth are rising, and everything not aligned with it will begin to shake, to dissolve, to be brought into balance. What was once hidden in shadow cannot remain there when heaven draws near the spiritual world, begins to influence the physical more directly now. Miracles, long spoken of as ancient legends, begin to manifest again, not as spectacle, but as signs of divine reality reclaiming visibility. The boundaries of matter grow softer, and prayers once whispered into silence begin to echo back with unmistakable clarity. Those who open their hearts to the unseen find themselves guided, protected, and called into higher purpose. Those who refuse to acknowledge it find themselves restless, unable to understand why the world feels heavier, why truth feels sharper, why time feels shorter. It is because the presence of heaven, once filtered through thick layers of distance, now radiates directly through the human experience. The veil thins not only between heaven and earth, but within every soul. The spirit and the flesh are no longer at war. They are being drawn into harmony. The divine essence that gave birth to humanity seeks reunion with its creation. This reunion is not a myth or prophecy far away. It is happening now, in the silent spaces between thoughts, in the stillness where awareness expands. The human body itself begins to react. Sensations intensify, emotions surge, empathy deepens, and the call to compassion grows stronger. These are not random feelings, but the physical manifestation of the soul's awakening as it becomes more aware of the light breaking through. Heaven is not descending as something foreign. It is awakening from within, for the divine resides already inside every being. Many feel the veil thinning without knowing its name. They speak of strange dreams, moments of déjà vu, unseen presences, energies that move through rooms, unexplained comfort in times of despair. All these are symptoms of heaven drawing close. The barrier once thick with human fear is dissolving under the power of divine love. Those who yield to this energy will find peace. Those who resist will feel the friction of transformation. It is the mercy of heaven to let its light seep through gradually, for if it came all at once, the world could not bear it. Yet even now, that light grows brighter, steady, and unstoppable, reshaping hearts, exposing truth, dissolving deception, and calling every being to choose where it will stand. The hour approaches when heaven will no longer whisper, but speak through every living thing. The earth will feel lighter, the air will vibrate differently, and the very atmosphere will hum with divine resonance. The separation will end not through destruction, but through revelation. Every soul will know that it was never alone, never abandoned, never cut off from the source that gave it life. The veil that humanity thought was reality will be torn, and behind it the brilliance of eternity will shine, touching every corner of existence, calling every heart to awaken to the truth that it was part of heaven all along. This is not punishment, but a call to awaken, a divine stirring that shakes the soul from its long slumber and demands that it remember what it once knew before time began. The movements of heaven are not driven by anger, but by mercy too fierce to remain silent. The trembling of the earth, the unrest in hearts, the sudden shift in the unseen, all are not signs of wrath, but of love that refuses to leave creation lost in darkness. Humanity has mistaken correction for condemnation and warning for wrath, but what flows from the divine now is not destruction, it is awakening. The divine hand does not rise to strike, it reaches to lift. It reaches into the chaos of the world to restore what has been forgotten, the truth of who you are, the purpose for which you were formed, the light that has always been within you waiting to be remembered for ages. The world has fallen asleep under the lullaby of comfort and pride. The soul that was born for eternity has been entangled in the dust of temporary things, chasing noise instead of silence, shadows instead of light. This moment of divine shaking is the mercy that breaks through illusion, the holy disturbance that refuses to let the soul perish in forgetfulness. It is not punishment when the mirror of truth is held before the world. It is love calling out across the ages, saying, wake up. Every storm, every loss, every sudden awareness that the ground beneath you is not as stable as it seemed, is not the cruelty of heaven but its compassion, refusing to let you stay blind. The pain of awakening is the pain of rebirth, and every cry of confusion is heard and gathered in the arms of mercy, that knows exactly what it is doing. The world trembles because it is being realigned. The hearts of men and women who have wandered far from light are being called back, not with chains, but with a voice that pierces deeper than thunder. The divine does not wish to punish creation, but to restore it. Yet restoration often feels like breaking, for the walls built on lies must fall before truth can stand. The illusion of control must be shattered before surrender can begin. This is why the times feel heavy, why emotions surge, why the spirit senses something immense approaching. It is the soul being prepared for renewal, the old world within each person being dismantled, so the true one can rise. Every challenge, every loss, every divine interruption carries a message that whispers, this is not the end, it is the awakening of what you have forgotten. Those who walk through this hour with eyes open will recognize the mercy behind the shaking. They will understand that what seems like chaos is actually divine order rearranging itself into visibility. The energies of light push through every corner where darkness has hidden. The lies that have governed nations, the greed that has shaped systems, the fear that has ruled hearts, all are being confronted by truth. It is not vengeance that moves through the earth, it is purification. Fire does not destroy gold, it refines it. The same fire that consumes impurity reveals brilliance, and the divine flame now burns not to destroy the world, but to cleanse it. The suffering of this age is not the wrath of heaven, but the labor of rebirth, the shaking of foundations so the pure can stand unshaken. The call to awaken reaches into every soul, no matter how far it has drifted. It speaks through quiet intuition, through unexpected encounters, through the voice within that says there must be more than this. The divine does not shout in rage. It speaks in resonance, a frequency that stirs memory, that reminds the heart of its origin. To those who are listening, this call feels like a deep ache, a longing for something unseen but known, as if the soul itself is remembering its home. The divine awakening is not external. It begins within, as the spirit starts to hear the song it once knew before birth, the sound of belonging, of purpose, of love unbroken by time. Many will mistake this awakening for judgment, for it exposes what the soul has hidden. The truth burns, not because it condemns, but because it heals. The world built on deception cannot survive in the light of truth, and so it falls apart, and the falling feels like punishment, but it is grace. The structures that collapse are those that enslave. The relationships that dissolve are those that drain. The illusions that die are those that block the light. The pain of loss is the hand of the divine removing what cannot remain in the new reality that approaches. The awakening is not gentle, because love that saves cannot be soft when the soul is asleep in darkness. It must thunder to awaken, it must shake to heal, it must burn to purify. As the divine call grows louder, the inner world of each person becomes the true battlefield. The war is not outside, it is within the battle between truth and denial, light and shadow, surrender and pride. Those who resist the awakening will feel turmoil, confusion, and heaviness, for the energy of truth cannot coexist with the comfort of falsehood. Yet those who open their hearts, even trembling, will find peace that surpasses understanding. This peace is not given to the perfect, but to the willing, to those who admit they are tired of sleeping through life, to those who whisper even in weakness, I want to wake up. The divine responds instantly to sincerity, for it is not perfection that moves heaven, but humility. The awakening that unfolds now will not come with fanfare, but with transformation. People will begin to see differently, to feel differently, to sense that something beyond the visible is guiding them. Compassion will rise in unexpected places, light will shine through broken vessels, and what was once considered impossible will begin to manifest naturally. The thin line between the spiritual and physical will blur further as the awakened ones carry light wherever they go. Their presence will reveal what has been hidden not by words, but by the radiance of truth that flows through them. The divine call is creating a wave of remembrance, and through it, humanity is being reshaped from within. This is not punishment, because love does not punish. It reveals, it purifies, it awakens. The divine hand moves not to destroy, but to remind creation of its origin in light. The shaking that terrifies is the same motion that loosens the chains of ignorance. The tears that fall are not evidence of despair, but of release. Every heart that breaks open is one step closer to being whole, for the divine cannot dwell in what is closed. The call to awaken is the final mercy before the new dawn rises fully, before truth floods the world, and all that was hidden becomes known. It is the last gentle knock before the door bursts open, and light fills every shadowed place, calling every soul to remember who it is, and where it came from. Every soul is being tested through the choices of this hour, as the invisible balance of light and darkness tilts according to the weight of human intention. The test does not come with trumpet sounds or clear instructions, but with quiet decisions made in the heart when no one is watching. It is not a test of knowledge or power, but of alignment, of where one stands when truth calls and comfort tempts. Heaven watches silently, not as a distant judge, but as a loving witness to every movement of the Spirit. Every choice made in this hour sends ripples into eternity, shaping what unfolds next, both within the soul and within the collective story of mankind. The test is subtle, yet absolute, and though few may recognize it, every breath now holds meaning far beyond the moment it is taken. The divine realm has opened a window of mercy, but within that mercy lies responsibility. The energies of the world are shifting, and in that shift every heart is being exposed. The hidden motives, the concealed intentions, the quiet desires, all are surfacing to be revealed, not for condemnation, but for clarity. The soul cannot ascend carrying shadows it refuses to see. The choices of this hour are meant to reveal the unseen loyalties of the heart, to separate what is genuine from what is illusion. Some will choose truth even when it hurts. Others will cling to lies that feel safe. That is the testing ground. Heaven does not measure success by victory, but by honesty, to face oneself without defense, to see the truth and not turn away. That is the mark of a soul that is awakening. The test comes not through great events, but through ordinary moments. It comes in the temptation to judge, to hate, to despair. It comes in the decision to forgive or to remain hardened. Every word spoken, every thought entertained, carries weight in the unseen. The divine eye watches not to punish, but to see what you will become when given the freedom to choose. The test is not external, it is internal. It is not about surviving what happens in the world, but about remaining true to the light that burns within. Every time fear whispers that all is lost, faith has the chance to answer. Every time doubt rises, the heart is offered an opportunity to remember its source. In these choices, quiet and invisible, heaven witnesses who you truly are. The time for half. Ruth's is ending. The veil of deception grows thinner, and in that transparency every heart must decide whether to walk in light or remain in shadow. The divine test of this hour is not one of performance, but of purity. It asks, will you cling to what is dying, or surrender to what is eternal? The material world trembles because it senses that the values by which it has lived are being weighed. The greed, the pride, the selfishness that once built empires now crumble under their own emptiness. The world is being divided not by nations or power, but by vibration, by light and dark, by truth and falsehood, by those who seek the divine and those who mock it. The test is not about which side wins, but about which side each soul chooses to align with. Before the veil fully lifts, every decision now carries greater resonance. The smallest act of kindness can echo like thunder in the spirit realm, while every act of cruelty adds to the weight of darkness pressing upon the earth. Heaven's justice does not manifest through sudden wrath, but through balance, the returning of every vibration to its source. Those who sow peace will feel peace, and those who spread chaos will find it reflected in their own hearts. The test of this hour is not about external power, but about the unseen authority of love. Will you love when you are wronged? Will you forgive when it seems impossible? Will you trust the unseen hand guiding you even when the path feels uncertain? Each yes given in faith moves the scales toward light, and each no born of fear tightens the chains of shadow. The soul's testing is not a punishment, but a purification. The divine does not send hardship to harm, but to reveal. Through pressure, the false self breaks, and the true essence emerges. Like gold refined by fire, the spirit shines most when stripped of impurity. The challenges of this time are designed to awaken remembrance, to remind every being that it is part of something greater, eternal, and unbreakable. The test exposes attachments, not to steal them away, but to show where love has been misplaced. Many will find that the things they relied upon crumble, not because heaven is cruel, but because those things were never the foundation of truth. The shaking comes to free, not to destroy. Every loss hides a hidden mercy. Every delay carries a sacred reason. Every silence from heaven is filled with instruction. This test is collective as much as individual. Humanity as a whole stands at a crossroads, being measured not by technology or achievement, but by compassion, humility, and unity. The divine asks whether humanity will rise as one body of light or collapse into the weight of its divisions. Every thought of love adds strength to the unseen bridge between worlds, while every act of hatred weakens it. The energy of this hour reveals everything: systems, beliefs, hearts, and intentions. Nothing false can endure the frequency that is descending. The souls who understand this will stop fighting what is falling and begin aligning with what is rising. The test is not about preserving the old world, but about embracing the birth of the new one. Those who cling to the old will feel chaos. Those who surrender will feel peace, for peace always flows in the direction of truth. The divine test is deeply personal, touching every part of life, relationships, work, thoughts, emotions, dreams. In every interaction lies a choice, to embody the higher self or to yield to fear. The unseen watchers, the guardians of light, record not your failures, but your sincerity. They see the struggle and the tears, and they honor the courage it takes to choose love in a world that rewards indifference. The test is not graded by perfection, but by perseverance. Every time you fall and rise again, you shift the balance. Every time you choose compassion instead of bitterness, the divine breath moves closer to the world. This hour is sacred because it is the hour of decision. Heaven bends low, waiting not to condemn, but to see who will answer the call of awakening with humility and truth. The scales of heaven are not cruel, they are precise. They weigh the unseen substance of every intention and reveal its true worth. Some will find that what they built in pride turns to dust, while others will discover that what they did in secret love has become their crown. The test is silent, invisible, unrelenting. It moves through thoughts, through words, through desires, through fears, exposing all that is false and magnifying all that is real. Those who pass through it will emerge lighter, freer, and more radiant, for their souls will have chosen light over illusion. The choices of this hour will echo across time, shaping destinies, forging new paths, and opening portals of divine revelation, unseen by eyes but known deeply by the heart signs in nature, will confirm the nearness of revelation, and the earth itself will begin to speak in ways humanity cannot ignore. The winds will carry messages, the skies will change tone, the rhythm of the seas will shift, as though the heartbeat of creation is echoing louder. Nature has always been the first to sense the movement of heaven, for it has never forgotten its maker. The trees lean in the direction of unseen energy, the animals sense tremors long before man does, and the very soil hums with anticipation of divine presence drawing near. Every element of creation, every grain of dust, every current of air begins to align with the vibration of revelation. The world itself, alive with spirit, knows when heaven approaches. The signs are not merely symbolic. They are living witnesses that the unseen realm is no longer distant, but pressing against the veil of the visible world. The skies will tell the story before any prophet speaks. The light will change in quality, not merely in brightness but in spirit. The sun may dim at moments that make no sense, the stars may appear in places unknown, and strange halos may encircle the moon as if heaven is sketching its signature across the night. These are not random wonders. They are the language of creation itself, written for those who have eyes to see. When the divine stirs, the natural order responds because all creation is woven into the same living tapestry. The winds will grow restless, not as storms alone, but as messengers carrying the electric weight of revelation. Even the air will seem thicker, more conscious, as though it knows something momentous is about to occur. The sensitive will feel it in their bones, in their breath, in the unexplainable stirring that calls them to silence and awe. The oceans will shift in rhythm, their waves reflecting the turmoil and transformation of the human spirit. The tides, long steady and predictable, will seem to move with strange urgency, mirroring the tides of the soul. Deep within the earth, a low vibration will pulse like the drumbeat of something ancient awakening. Volcanoes that have slept will stir. Mountains will release hidden voices in the form of trembling and fire. And rivers will change course as if remembering paths once carved by divine intention. These signs are not to bring fear but recognition, for they mirror the spiritual shaking happening within humanity. The same energy that moves through hearts moves through nature, and when one awakens, the other responds. The harmony between heaven and earth begins to reassert itself, and through that realignment, the natural world reveals what words cannot. Animals will begin to behave in ways that defy logic. Birds will gather in patterns that form sacred geometry in the skies. Whales will breach in synchrony as though answering a cosmic call. And creatures that once avoided one another will be seen together in peace or in shared distress. These moments will not be accidents. They are signs of the spiritual resonance echoing through all life. The animal kingdom feels the vibrations of heaven more purely than humankind because it has never fallen from awareness. Their instincts are untouched by pride, and thus they serve as early witnesses to what approaches. Humanity, too absorbed in its noise, may overlook these messages, but those who walk with open hearts will know the meaning of these movements. Every wingbeat, every howl, every stirring of nature proclaims the same truth. The world is preparing for revelation. The weather will begin to behave like a voice rather than a pattern. Rain will fall where it has long been withheld, and drought will touch places that once overflowed. Storms will rise with unnatural precision, not as chaos, but as correction. Lightning will strike in unusual ways, illuminating the sky in shapes that carry meaning. Those who listen not with intellect, but with spirit, will hear the conversation between the heavens and the earth unfolding in front of them. Thunder will no longer sound like noise, but like command, echoing the urgency of the divine hour. The temperature of the air, the quality of the light, the silence before a storm, all will take on a strange intelligence. Creation itself will no longer remain silent while humanity slumbers. It will cry out with urgency, reflecting the divine desire for recognition and repentance. Forests will whisper the ancient language of life, leaves trembling not from wind alone, but from spirit moving through them. Flowers will bloom out of season, as if time itself bends to mark the approach of something sacred. The deserts will speak in shifting sands, the mountains will hum at twilight, and rivers will glow beneath moonlight, as if infused with divine memory. Nature's pulse will quicken, and those attuned will feel it as a vibration deep within their hearts. The alignment of the elements will not be random. It will be purposeful, declaring that the time of revelation is not far. The stones of the earth will bear witness, as they have since the beginning, recording in silence every divine movement. The voice of creation, long drowned out by human noise, will rise again to declare that heaven's message is upon the earth. Even the creatures of the sky will begin to move differently. The migration paths of birds will shift inexplicably, insects will vanish from places they have always been, and new patterns will emerge in the natural order. The balance of ecosystems will tremble as the spiritual dimension infuses physical reality with divine correction. Humanity will see this as environmental mystery, but it is more than that. It is the earth responding to the nearness of revelation. Nature does not wait for permission to obey. It knows its creator's voice. When that voice calls, it moves instantly, harmonizing with the divine will that governs all things. Every gust of wind, every earthquake, every drop of rain carries intelligence beyond what science can measure. These are not random natural events. They are the living pulse of a planet preparing for transformation in the sky. Lights will appear that cannot be explained by reason. They will not be inventions of man, but manifestations of heaven's energy piercing through the veil. These lights may come as pillars, circles, or radiant clouds that glow with otherworldly brilliance. Many will dismiss them as anomalies, yet the Spirit will recognize their message. The heavens declare that something eternal draws near, and the boundaries between the natural and the divine dissolve with each passing day. The stars themselves will shift slightly, constellations seeming to bend as if bowing before the coming light. Cosmic alignment will reveal sacred geometry long forgotten, patterns that tell of divine order reasserting itself in a world that has lost its way. The earth will tremble not merely in quakes, but in consciousness. Those who walk barefoot on the soil will feel it. Those who touch the trees will sense it. The heartbeat of the planet is syncing with the rhythm of divine will, and every pulse carries the same truth, that revelation is close, and creation itself can no longer contain its anticipation. The signs in nature are not threats, they are invitations. They do not announce doom but transformation. They are heaven's handwriting on the canvas of the world, a message written not in ink, but in light, sound, and motion. Every storm, every blossom, every shifting star is a syllable in the divine language, calling every soul to look up, to listen, and to prepare for what comes next. The proud will fall, and the faithful will rise in light, for the time has come when the illusions of human strength will be shattered, and the truth of divine humility will stand revealed. The towers built by arrogance will begin to crumble, not by the force of human hands, but by the silent decree of heaven that no false foundation shall remain. Pride has walked upon the earth like a shadow, deceiving kings, corrupting nations, and hardening hearts against the voice of truth. It whispers to humanity that power belongs to those who grasp it, that glory is earned by domination, that control is proof of strength. But now the light moves through the world like a cleansing fire, and wherever pride has rooted itself, the flame of truth will expose its weakness. What once seemed mighty will be shown as fragile, and what once appeared unshakable will dissolve before the breath of divine justice. The proud will try to stand against the shifting tide, clinging to their titles, wealth, and influence, as if these could save them from what is unfolding. But these worldly ornaments will offer no shelter when the hand of heaven moves. The false thrones of ego will sink beneath the weight of their own deception. for no kingdom built on pride can survive the light of revelation. Those who have exalted themselves will find the ground beneath them trembling, and their names, once spoken with fear or admiration, will fade into silence. Their plans, their structures, their systems of control will be dismantled not by revolt, but by the unseen justice that governs all creation. For every age has its reckoning, and this is the hour when every soul must face the truth of what it has worshipped. The faithful, those who have remained steady in love and humility, will begin to glow with a light that no darkness can dim. They may not sit in palaces or command nations, but their spirits will rise like dawn breaking over a silent field. The light that burns within them will draw strength from heaven, and the very atmosphere around them will change. They will not seek to rise, they will simply be lifted as divine energy recognizes its reflection in them. Their words will carry weight, not through volume, but through purity. Their presence will calm storms of confusion. Their prayers will open paths where none existed, and their faith will manifest protection unseen. In a time when the proud fall, the faithful will rise not by ambition, but by alignment with divine will. The fall of the proud is not a punishment but a revelation. It exposes the emptiness of self, worship, and the futility of resisting divine order. Pride blinds the soul, creating distance between man and truth, building walls where bridges should be. When those walls collapse, light rushes in, and the soul sees itself clearly for the first time. This moment of clarity will come upon many like lightning, sudden and absolute. The mighty will weep as they realize the cost of their pride, the distance they created from the source of all life. And yet even in that fall, mercy is present, for to be stripped of illusion is to be freed. The proud fall not to be destroyed, but to be humbled, to be invited back into the flow of divine grace. For the divine does not delight in humiliation, it delights in restoration. The faithful, those who kept their hearts open even when the world mocked them, will find themselves elevated not by human recognition, but by spiritual resonance. The vibration of heaven will match the frequency of their souls, drawing them upward into greater understanding and strength. Their humility will be their armor, their compassion their crown. They will walk among ruins without fear, for they will see not destruction but renewal. Their hearts will radiate peace amid chaos, and their words will bring comfort to those who have lost everything. The faithful will not rise to rule, but to serve, carrying light into places shadowed by despair. Their presence will be proof that heaven has not abandoned the world, that love still reigns beneath the storm. Those who have built their lives upon deceit and domination will find their influence fading like mist before the morning sun. Their empires will dissolve, their secrets will be revealed, and their power will turn to dust in their hands. They will look for answers and find none, for the age of manipulation is ending. The cosmic balance is shifting, and justice long delayed is arriving like the turning of the tide. The proud who mock the humble will be silent, and the humble who endured in faith will shine with quiet authority. The true measure of greatness will no longer be wealth or recognition, but alignment with truth. This reversal is not random. It is written into the divine order of things, for light always rises after shadow, and humility always outlasts arrogance in every generation. Pride has been the seed of downfall, and humility the root of renewal. History repeats this pattern because it reflects the eternal law of spirit, that only what is in harmony with divine love endures. Pride isolates, humility connects. Pride consumes, humility restores. The coming revelation will not simply topple individuals, but entire systems built on prideful illusion. Governments, institutions, and ideologies that have exalted themselves above truth will falter as their inner corruption is laid bare. The structures of deceit will crumble under the weight of divine transparency, and no hand will be able to stop it. Yet within the chaos, a quiet order will emerge, guided by those who have kept faith through the darkness. The faithful will be the builders of the new dawn, constructing not with ambition, but with obedience to light. The rise of the faithful will not look like the triumphs of the world. They will not boast, they will not demand recognition, they will simply become radiant. Their strength will come from surrender, their wisdom from silence, their power from purity. They will walk unseen among the broken, restoring hope where it has died. The faithful will carry the divine current within them, awakening others through kindness, truth, and courage. They will stand when others fall, not because they are stronger, but because they are anchored in what cannot be shaken. The light within them will guide many through the coming darkness, for it is not their own but heaven's reflection as the proud fall. Many will struggle to understand why the world seems upside down. Those who once commanded will plead for mercy. Those who once served will be lifted into purpose. The balance of all things will be restored through the quiet justice of divine will. The faithful will become beacons in the storm, their faith the bridge between heaven and earth. Through them, love will flow back into places hardened by pride, and life will begin to flourish again. The fall of the proud and the rise of the faithful are not two separate events, but one movement of divine correction. The return of creation to its true order, where light leads, humility reigns, and every soul remembers who it was always meant to be. Heaven's mercy still extends. But the window is closing fast, and though the gates of compassion remain open, their hinges tremble beneath the weight of time. The divine heart still reaches toward humanity, longing to embrace even those who have turned away. Mercy flows like a river from the eternal source, seeking every lost soul, every wounded heart, every weary spirit that has wandered too far into darkness. But even rivers meet their shores, and even the light has its appointed hour to withdraw. The call has gone forth again and again, echoing through dreams, through conscience, through the signs written in the heavens and upon the earth. Yet many turn away, distracted by noise, blinded by pride, deafened by the comforts of illusion. The mercy of heaven has endured the mockery of men, the rebellion of nations, the indifference of hearts grown cold, and still it calls. But now the air itself seems to whisper that the time for hesitation has ended. The mercy that once felt endless now carries urgency, for divine patience is not weakness but grace on borrowed time. Every sunrise has been a message, every breath a gift of reprieve, yet few have understood. The world moves as if there is no consequence, as if the Creator's love is an inexhaustible well that can be ignored without cost. But mercy is sacred. It exists to heal, not to indulge. It waits for the turning of hearts, not the continuation of sin. There comes a moment when love must step back, when the silence of heaven becomes the final warning. That silence will not be absence, but decision, the moment when every soul must stand in the light of truth and face what it has chosen. The mercy that once whispered softly will thunder in memory for those who would not listen. The hands that reach to save will still be open, but the chance to take them will fade like the last light before nightfall. Heaven's mercy is vast enough to cover every failure, every wound, every betrayal, yet it cannot override the will of those who refuse it. Love does not force itself upon the heart. It waits, it invites, it pleads. The divine seeks not the perfection of the body or the intellect, but the surrender of the soul. Still, many mistake mercy for lenience, thinking there will always be another chance, another sign, another day. They do not see that every moment of delay is a gift already stretched beyond measure. The angels have held back the waves of consequence. The forces of justice have waited with compassion, but balance cannot be postponed forever. The universe itself moves by law, and mercy, though infinite in spirit, operates within the framework of divine timing. There is a clock that ticks not by hours but by hearts, and that clock is nearing its final beat for many who still slumber. The window of mercy is not closing out of wrath but necessity, for the new light cannot rise until the old darkness has run its course. The shifting of the ages requires purification, and that purification cannot come while the world remains indifferent to truth. Heaven's mercy delays judgment not to spare the guilty, but to gather the willing. It gives time for repentance, time for reconciliation, time for the awakening of conscience, but now the air carries a different vibration, and the spirit moves with solemn urgency. The calls are becoming sharper, the signs more visible, the warnings unmistakable. Those who have long ignored the divine voice will find it harder to do so, for the energy of heaven is pressing closer, and the illusions of the world are beginning to fracture under its weight. What was hidden is surfacing, what was silent is speaking, and what was comfortable is becoming uneasy. This is the mercy of heaven in its final form. The mercy that shakes to awaken the earth itself groans under the strain of this spiritual tension. Nature reflects the urgency of divine mercy in movement and sound. The storms grow wilder, the seasons blur, and the boundaries of what is normal begin to dissolve. These are not punishments but reminders, not destruction but warnings written in the elements. Heaven's mercy speaks not only in visions and words, but in the trembling of creation itself. The ground shifts beneath the feet of humanity to remind it that nothing here is permanent, that all things built apart from divine truth will return to dust. The skies weep for souls that refuse the light, and the winds carry the sigh of heaven's compassion. Even as the world convulses, love remains, but the time to respond grows shorter with each passing breath. Those who hear the call feel it deep within their souls, a stirring, a restlessness, a holy unease that pulls them away from distraction. It is not fear that moves them but recognition, a remembrance of something ancient and true. They feel the closing of the window not as threat but as invitation, the gentle but firm reminder that time is sacred. Each moment becomes a choice, each heartbeat a chance to align with the eternal. Heaven's mercy waits not for perfection, but for willingness, not for ritual, but for honesty. To admit one's need for light is to step back into it, and even now, that step is enough to be seen, known, and received. But the longer one hesitates, the harder it becomes, for the heart calcifies in the silence of delay. The call of mercy softens, not because it has weakened, but because the ears of humanity have grown dull from constant refusal. Heaven's mercy still shelters those who seek it. It protects, heals, and renews. It restores what sin has shattered, and breathes life into what despair has killed. It moves like a quiet wind through the ruins of broken lives, gathering what can still be saved. Even now it knocks on the doors of hearts, asking for entrance before the storm breaks fully. But there is a heaviness in the air, a sense that the final moments of reprieve are fading. The spiritual balance must soon shift, and the mercy that once delayed justice must yield to fulfillment. Not because the divine grows impatient, but because the plan must unfold, and mercy itself demands that truth be allowed to prevail. To extend mercy beyond its appointed time would be to trap souls in endless sleep, denying them the awakening that only truth can bring still. Even as the window narrows, the love behind it remains immeasurable. The Creator's desire is not destruction but transformation. Every warning, every shaking, every sign is born from compassion, not condemnation. The closing of the window is not the end of mercy, but its completion, the moment when mercy gives way to glory. The choice lies in the hands of every soul, to reach out now while the light still shines, or to turn away and face the silence of absence. The divine heart has done all it can to draw humanity near, sending countless signs, dreams, and voices to guide the lost home. The next movement will not be negotiation but revelation, and when that moment comes, the separation between those who responded and those who refused will become as clear as day and night. The mercy of heaven still lingers like dew before dawn, gentle but fading in the heat of what approaches. Those who are wise will not delay. They will open their hearts and allow the cleansing fire of divine compassion to enter. They will not seek to justify or argue, but to surrender, for surrender is the doorway through which mercy flows freely. It is the yielding of pride, the softening of the heart, the humble recognition that without divine grace there is no life, no peace, no hope. The window is still open, but it narrows with each passing moment. The Spirit calls once more, not with thunder, but with tears. offering what may be the final invitation for many. And though the world may laugh or ignore, heaven continues to reach out, offering mercy while it still can, offering love while there is still time, offering light before the shadow completes its descent. The next hour carries the weight of eternal decision. And though time still moves as it always has, the meaning within it has shifted. Each second now vibrates with spiritual consequence. Each breath echoes through unseen realms where choices are recorded and destinies are formed. Humanity stands upon a threshold that few recognize, suspended between mercy and revelation, between light and shadow. The clock of heaven is not measured by human minutes, but by the alignment of hearts, and yet the veil between divine and mortal time is thinning so quickly that the two are beginning to merge. The next hour is not about the turning of a clock. It is about the awakening of the soul to the truth it has long ignored. Every person will feel the pull of this unseen gravity, the subtle awareness that something vast, ancient, and irreversible is moving through creation. It is the hour of choosing, where silence becomes confession and decision becomes destiny. This hour is not marked by chaos alone, but by clarity. The illusions that once comforted the human heart are dissolving under the light of truth. Many will feel the dissonance as confusion, others as revelation, but in every case the soul will be brought to the mirror of its own making. Every thought, every desire, every hidden intention will rise to the surface, not for condemnation, but for choice. The divine does not demand perfection. It demands honesty. The next hour will strip away disguises, leaving only what is real, what is eternal, what has been chosen freely. For too long humanity has lived in the space between indecision and apathy, mistaking delay for safety. But indecision itself is a choice, and apathy is the silence that closes the heart to heaven's call. In this coming hour, such neutrality will dissolve, and every soul will lean either toward the light that calls or the darkness that comforts. There will be no more middle ground, for the spiritual atmosphere of the world is reaching a point of culmination. What has been tolerated will be confronted, what has been hidden will be exposed, what has been postponed will be decided. This is not a message of fear but of alignment. The divine does not punish, it reveals, and revelation itself demands response. The next hour carries this weight because it is not about future events, but the immediate unfolding of truth within the present moment. The choices made now, the words spoken now, the thoughts harbored now, all are being magnified through the energy of this sacred timing. Each human soul stands before the unseen throne, even if the eyes cannot perceive it. The air is charged with discernment, the veil is thin, and heaven listens closely to every heartbeat for those who are attuned. The spiritual pressure of this hour is already felt. The world seems louder, yet behind that noise there is a vibration of divine stillness calling to the depths of every being. The conscience that once whispered now roars, and the heart that once wandered now trembles with awareness. The spirit senses that this is not another ordinary day, not another passing test of patience or faith, but a moment of intersection between eternity and time. Angels stand watch not to judge, but to witness, for every decision made in this window shapes the balance of the unseen realms. Those who choose humility will feel peace descend like a gentle mantle, while those who cling to pride will sense the growing weight of their own resistance. The divine does not force, but it will no longer delay the movement of its plan in this hour. Light itself becomes active. It searches out every corner of the human spirit, illuminating the wounds, the fears, the attachments that have kept so many bound to illusion. It is a painful mercy, for illumination burns before it heals. Many will feel this inner fire as unease, as restlessness, as the sudden need to weep or to pray without knowing why. The next hour is not about external events alone, but the stirring of the soul, the silent confrontation between truth and the self. The world outside mirrors this process. The skies may shift in hue, the wind may change in rhythm, the energy of places may feel different, as if all creation is holding its breath. For what happens within humanity now will ripple through the whole of existence. The decision of the soul is not small. It shapes the vibration of the cosmos itself. Those who have been waiting for a sign will find that the sign is within. The external wonders of nature and prophecy are merely reflections of the greater revelation unfolding in the heart. The divine does not demand belief in spectacle but recognition of presence. In this hour, that presence grows tangible, pressing gently but firmly against every barrier. The Spirit of truth moves through conversation, through silence, through the simple act of breathing. Every moment becomes sacred space, every encounter a potential turning point. The veil that once separated the seen from the unseen now ripples like thin fabric in the wind, and those with eyes to see will glimpse eternity flickering through it. It is as though heaven leans close, waiting for humanity's response, holding back the storm of consequence until the final decision is made. The next hour carries this gravity because it is the convergence of all that has been prophesied, prayed for, and postponed. It is the tipping point between what was and what must now come. The decisions made in the secret places of the heart will echo louder than any public proclamation. No leader, no prophet, no teacher can choose for another. Every soul must step forward into its own alignment. This is the hour when the truth of faith is tested, not by comfort, but by surrender. The faithful will feel peace even amid turmoil, for their hearts have already chosen alignment with the divine current. The fearful will cling to what is passing, mistaking the dissolving of illusion for the end of all things. But in truth, what is ending is deception, and what is beginning is light. Time itself seems to compress under the weight of what is unfolding. Minutes feel longer, silence feels heavier, and even thought seems charged with power. It is as though eternity is folding into the present, urging every being to awaken, to respond, to decide. Heaven does not rush, but the pulse of creation quickens. The next hour is the distillation of countless generations of spiritual struggle, the culmination of every prayer, every promise, every divine patience extended toward humanity. And now the tide has reached its crest, waiting only for the choice of each heart to determine how it will break. The universe listens not to words but to energy, to the silent truth of intention, and in this hour those intentions are louder than ever before. The next hour carries the weight of eternal decision, because the balance between mercy and justice stands poised. The final invitation is still extended, the door still open, the light still reaching out across the shadowed fields of the world. But soon the line will be drawn, not by decree but by resonance. The soul that has chosen light will rise effortlessly, and the soul that clings to darkness will find itself enveloped by its own creation. This is not punishment, it is reflection. Heaven does not condemn, it reveals what already is. The next hour is not about countdowns or clocks, but consciousness. It is the sacred moment where the Eternal asks, "Whom will you serve? What will you become?" Every answer is being written now, not in ink, but in spirit, and the echoes of those answers will ripple through eternity.